Desde Oceanía y a orillas del Pacífico, aquí, en Wellington, capital de Nueva Zelanda, damos comienzo a esta producción especial de C5N. Recorreremos sus ciudades para conocer cómo es la vida política, social y económica. Aquí viven 4.500.000 kiwis, como le dicen efectivamente a los neozelandeses.
Nuevo Fiat Uno. ¿Te subís? Fiat. Mr. Graham Murray, a board member of the New Zealand Rugby Union. Thank you for receiving us here in Wellington.
The pleasure, and it's just great to have you at our place.
You were former captain of the All Blacks between 1976 to 1982. How did you live that experience?
Well, I think like a lot of young New Zealanders, I grew up wanting to be a good rugby player, and very, very fortunate to actually be All Black captain, and it obviously changed my life in a huge way. It certainly gave me the opportunity not only to be part of a very good rugby team, but also to be a leader in that team, and also to do a lot of travelling around the world with the team to see many different parts of the world, and let me live in France for a couple of years as an amateur player in the old days, and even to visit Argentina in 1976 as captain of the first team, All Black team, to go to Argentina.
What memories do you have with that experience visiting our country with the All Blacks?
It was a fascinating country to go to. Obviously Argentina, like us, is an agriculturally based country, so we not only saw Buenos Aires and learned about the tango and the great beefsteaks, but also got to Tucumán
and dulce de leche.
Dulce de leche, sí. So yeah, we had a great trip, and saw Mendoza and Tucumán. Really good look at the country, and also found out that the Pumas are actually pretty good rugby players.
What are the values that you think the rugby promotes worldwide?
I think the first thing about rugby is because it's a contact sport. I think you are going to be in situations where you're actually trying to beat the other guy up. So it does teach you a lot about discipline in terms of physical involvement in a sport. I think rugby is a team sport, so foremost it's about your team and your teammates, but it's also very much about respecting the opposition and valuing their participation. And I think people probably say that, used to say when I was younger that rugby developed character. I think it really exposes character, and part of that is actually being part of a team and learning how to live with the people you're actually playing against.
Why do you think rugby is the national sport in New Zealand?
Rugby's had a huge significance in New Zealand from a social perspective, and I guess we're a multiracial country, and I think rugby was brought to New Zealand by Charles Munro from England back in 1870, and from that time both New Zealand Maori people and the Europeans that came here, now the Polynesians.
What makes it the rugby mecca?
I think it was part of it. It was an area where we always met as equals, and I think interestingly enough the first Maori team, the New Zealand native team, left New Zealand in 1888 and actually toured Britain and did a tour of the world for a year and a half, played over 100 games. So rugby was very quickly picked up by by the Maori population.
In which position did you play?
I played number 7, loose forward. Yeah.
Do you remember any particular story that you would share with us through your times as a captain and a player?
Probably pulling on the All Black jersey has the biggest impact on your life, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. I mean, for example, in 1972 in New Zealand, we had, I was very young, playing for university, Victoria University of Wellington, and we had a visit from Cuba University, from the University of Buenos Aires, and the guy that I billeted, Loco Perez, for example, is 72. It's nearly 40 years ago. We're still very good friends, and
Loco Perez.
Yeah, I sent him an email this morning saying what a great game Argentina had played last night. So yeah, it's just, I think rugby is about the people you meet, and just really the opportunity to play a game which is worldwide.
You mentioned the Pumas playing recently here in Wellington. What is your impression about Los Pumas?
I think you've got to look now. I think probably for the second World Cup in a row, Los Pumas have made the top 8, and obviously last time finished 3rd. So I think Argentinian rugby has come of age, and it's very important for us because next year the Argentinian team will take part in the Four Nations tournament down here, which is going to be fantastic for us.
What do you think would be the difference between what used to be the Tri-Nation tournament and now it would be the tournament of the Four Nations that includes Argentina team?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I mean, we were actually probably playing against Australia and South Africa too often, so now we have a home and away series, and not only will it give our people in New Zealand the chance to see Los Pumas, who are very good, particularly the forward play has been great in the last few years, but obviously the All Blacks will now play in Argentina every year, and that's going to be great for New Zealanders to be able to go and visit Argentina and see the All Blacks play there.
Do you see many difference between the rugby played today and the rugby that was played back 24 years ago when the first World Cup took place in New Zealand?
Yeah, I think obviously in the first tournament the players were amateurs for a start. So now they're professionals, and interestingly, most of the top teams, the professionals, don't always play in their home countries. So we now see a Pumas team which has players from British clubs, from French clubs. I think the players are obviously a little bit bigger, they're a bit fitter, and they're a bit stronger. I don't think they're any faster. So the game has changed, and the players have changed with it.
Do you think the rugby helped integrate the Maori culture with the British culture?
I think the Maori culture has been hugely influential in our game, and there's been a lot of great Maori players have played for the All Blacks. Obviously, go back to probably one of the key books written about rugby in New Zealand was a guy called Tom Allison, who wrote a book back in the 1920s, and his grandson Tamati Allison played for the All Blacks 3 or 4 years ago. So the Maoris have had a huge, not only playing part of the game, but also have been very significant in the cultural side of the game and just the spiritual side of the game.
How would you describe the current All Black team?
It's been a difficult period for New Zealand. We've obviously won the World Cup in 1987. And probably if you look at it on a year-by-year basis, 24 years we've probably been seen as the top team in the world for probably 3/4, 75% of that time, but we haven't been able to win the World Cup again.
All Blacks being the worldwide best-known team of the world, why do you think they had little success in making to the finals?
I think the opposition have been better when we've played them. So tournament rugby is very difficult. It's on the day. You've got to win on the day. I think it's a good team. I think we've had 4 good years. We got beaten by the Australians and South Africans in the last 2 games before the tournament, so we're not overconfident. Hopefully this team can come through. I think obviously with Richie McCaw, who played his 100th game for the All Blacks, we've got an outstanding captain. Richie's been a very good leader and a great player for that period of time. So yeah, hopefully this time we can make it, but I think there are a lot of other teams that are looking very good as well.
What are the main lessons that you learned from your rugby as an All Black?
Oh, I think the main lessons are to be humble, really, because every time you win a game, you're one game closer to losing. So I think just keep your feet on the ground and to enjoy the moment.
What is New Zealand to you?
I think New Zealand's a little bit like Argentina is to the Argentinians. To me, it's my homeland. It's where I'm born. I think New Zealand's a small country, only has 4 million people, but we're very good at some things. We're very good at farming, like the Argentinians, and I think we live a long way away from Europe and from probably the so-called civilised places of the world. So for us, New Zealand is pretty much a haven. I think we like to be a long way from the world. It means we can maintain our culture well.
What did you feel each time that you practiced the haka at a field court?
It's just part of preparing for battle, I think. I think everybody prepares to go to battle in a different way, and I think for New Zealand rugby teams, the haka is very much part of that. It's the final phase of your mental preparation to go onto the field. I think you've got to be pretty careful you don't get too involved in it from an emotional perspective, because when you go out to perform your skills on the field, you have to be able to still catch and pass the ball. So you've got to be aware of what it's about, but not so aware, not so emotionally involved that you lose perspective.
Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.